Good evening, and if any of Jonathan Aitken's fellow inmates are watching during Prisoner's Television Hour, we'd like you to know that despite what he says, he actually reckons you're all a bunch of soft puffs. In the news this week, at customs control in Calais, as the import ban continues, a British cow finally loses patience with the French. Showbiz news, and Jerry Adams is a surprise guest on Through the Keyhole. And in Rome, a rather worried man inspects the negatives from the night he spent with Mother Teresa. On Ian Hislop's team is a BBC journalist who appeared on one award-winning TV comedy show in 1967, and after tonight will still have appeared on one award-winning TV comedy show, John Sargent. And with Paul Merton tonight is the editor of Tribune, the official journal for the left wing of the Labour Party, providing a critical socialist perspective for both its readers, Mark Seddon. Thank you. Round one is what we've cleverly entitled the first round. Ian and John.
Oh, this is the non-Republic of Australia. These are people voting to have more royal walkabouts. There's the Queen. She's quietly pleased with what's happened. I think they did very well. If you think of other politicians saying, what do we learn from this? And what they learn is don't kiss babies, don't give interviews, and don't wave too quickly.
Yeah, so how did Queenie spend the day after hearing the fantastic news that she was still head of state in Australia?
She went on a binge with Chris Evans.
She actually presented the World Cup to
this huge, great Australian Republican who had to sit there and go...
Yes, this is the outcome of the Australian referendum, which has led to the Queen being retained as head of state. Following the referendum, the Queen and Prince Philip are to visit Australia as part of a charm offensive. The Queen taking care of the charm and Prince Philip taking... Nearly 100 years ago, one Australian journalist described Edward VII as a turf-swindling, card-sharping, wife-debauching, boozing rowdy. And you can't get higher praise from an Australian. Paul and Mark, don't mention the wall.
This is all about the Berlin Wall. I think it's all gone rather wrong because they forgot to invite the East Germans to the big party.
You noticed that Lady Thatcher wasn't there?
Yes. Neither was Popeye. Funny, though.
Oh, was it?
What were they up to?
I think they were worried that she would start rebuilding it. And she wants to move it from Berlin, you know, to the west, like sort of Calais.
So, yes, who else was there? Who do we see in the footage?
George Bush and Mr. Gorbachev and his daughter.
And, of course, you mustn't forget the Scorpions, the German heavy metal band, who were there.
Mm-hmm. That was the lead singer, was it?
Singing...
Wir sind eine Volk.
We are...
You're laughing, but you don't know what you're laughing at. You're just laughing to show off.
No, they do know what it means. It's only you who don't.
What, everybody in this country speaks German apart from me?
I can't believe you only just noticed that.
This is Britain that we're living in, isn't it?
We lost the war, did no one tell you?
I went to sleep, I woke up, I was in a shower, everything was different.
No, that's Dallas.
That was the reference I was making, but thank you for pointing it out.
Just thought I'd underline.
Perhaps I should have said it in German.
Wind of Change is what the name of the song was.
Wind of Change, fair enough.
You mentioned George Bush, yes, he was there, and his... what's his son been up to this week?
George Bush Jr.?
He got embarrassed. He's a presidential candidate. He couldn't name the recent strongman who's taken over Pakistan, whereas John could do that anytime.
Yes. I won't, but I could.
Have a look at this.
Can you name the president of Chechnya?
No, can you?
Prime Minister of India?
The new Prime Minister of India is, no. The new Pakistani general has just been elected. He's not elected. This guy took over office. He appears he's going to bring stability to the country, and I think that's good news for the subcontinent.
And you can name him?
General. I can name the general.
And it's...
General.
So who is it, John, in general?
No, I said I could. I didn't say I would.
Do we get a point if we name it?
OK, go on then.
Musharraf.
Very good, but no, you don't get a point. It is the 10th
Prime Minister of India?
Yeah, go on.
Vajpayee?
President of Chechnya?
Don't know, 2 out of 3, give us a point.
Unfortunately. It is the 10th anniversary celebrations of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Curiously, the old command post of the East Berlin Border Guards is now a second-hand car business, and in an eerie repetition of history, people still rarely get more than 30 yards from it before a bang and a cloud of smoke brings them to the wall. Ian and John, read all about it.
Frank Dobson. Oh, and that's his PR man, Matthew Freud. Oh, and everyone says it's a stunt, the fact that Frank Dobson's living with Chris Evans. Because they've both got the same publicity, and cynical people say they've just made it up. But I think they're going to get married.
Right.
And they'll have lovely children. They'll have glasses and a beard.
I think he may have a chance of being selected as the Labour candidate for the London mayor.
Who? Dobson?
I think there's a chance.
Not a chance.
Well,
Mark's wearing a Vote Ken Livingstone badge.
Yes, I'm up for Ken.
Are you?
Yes. I've been looking into this. There is a cunning plan, I think. As far as I can make out, Downing Street don't want Ken to be candidate, so they set up this electoral college to block him. And Labour Party headquarters don't want Ken to be candidate, so they're just going to block him altogether. So either which way, Ken gets blocked.
But it doesn't always work, does it? Because they tried to stop you being elected to the NEC, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yes, we got wind of this. We demanded a bit of democracy.
What, in the Labour Party?
It's dying out, but it's something that ought to be cherished along with socialism.
NEC, that's car parks, isn't it?
So it is, yes. Frank Dobson's beleaguered campaign to become London mayor, and the news this week that he's enlisted the help of PR guru Matthew Freud. Dobson has fiercely denied being given confidential lists of addresses by Labour Party HQ, although party member Paul Letton told the BBC that he'd seen the disputed list on a computer screen in Dobson's campaign office. It was definitely the Labour membership list. It said at the top, Labour membership list. Certainly is a reasonable clue. And finally, Paul and Mark. And finally...
That's Bill Giles, the weatherman. There's another weatherman. That was this... there's...
Another one?
the other weather people, weather persons in the Weather Bureau have said that Bill Giles is a bit of a weather tyrant. He goes around saying, that's not good enough. More clouds. Less mist. And he's a bit of a bully, so say some of the other people in the meteorological office.
Yes, could you name them?
No. Could you?
Yes.
but you don't want to.
Musharraf and Vajpayee.
We've moved on from there. It's actually David Lee and Richard Edgar,
Oh,
are the
yes.
two victims of his bullying, they allege.
You could always tell that when he was on, the weather was that bit worse, wasn't
Yeah.
it? He used to, move the clouds about. I thought...
Just to be nasty.
I thought it was boxy. I mean, I don't know him personally, but...
He stuck a magnetic cloud over East Anglia and it started to rain.
Yeah.
Just because he was annoyed.
Any whole south of England he hated.
Yeah.
Not just the people in the office.
Absolutely. People under 10 foot of
Wipe it
water
out,
because he's
so
in a
right.
bad mood.
Yeah. Just because he got angry. We all
Yeah.
had to pay for it.
Exactly.
For years and years this was going on. Now it's out in the open.
Yeah, good. So it should be.
Yeah.
So do you news reporters mix much with the weather guys? Or?
No, not now. Not after this.
No.
Won't touch him now. No. They respond so savagely to the slightest comment.
Right.
They're very sensitive. They're artiste.
Do you have a favourite weather presenter?
No, not really. I used to. We used to be very close, but I don't want to discuss that.
Yes, this is Bill Giles, who this week launched an appeal, having been found guilty at an internal inquiry of bullying his staff at the Met Office. The inquiry heard how Bill Giles' behaviour had left weatherman David Lee in a deep depression, although he did tend to brighten up around tea time. So at the end of that round, both teams are as worryingly close as Jonathan Aitken is to his cellmate, equal as they are on 4 each. Round 2 this week sees the necessary, if unwelcome, return of the tabloid headline, an art form just below Christmas card greeting on the ladder of literary excellence. Ian and John. Winnie the Brown leaves lid on the honey.
This is all about the budget, and the honey is perfectly normal sweeteners for the next election.
Gordon Brown, he's just presented a pre-budget budget statement report.
He's giving away television sets instead of money to pensioners.
You're just giving things away. What's wrong with that? Just giving things to all of us.
Well, perhaps
before
pensioners would like
Christmas. I
something
don't think
else.
there's anything wrong in that. I think
And
that's
if you're a
good.
pensioner, would you like a television or would you like a bucket of coal or some food or something? It'd be nice to have some choice in all of this.
Yeah, they haven't got a choice. Free television, kicking the balls.
Are you suggesting the free television licence for pensioners might not be that well received by all pensioners?
They're just saying, well, if you're 75, all you must want to do is sit in front of the television. There are lots of pensioners that like to go abseiling and trekking across the Gobi Desert and all sorts of things like that.
But should they be encouraged?
So, do you know Gordon Brown?
Very well.
How is he as a man?
He's fine, yes. No.
More
We get on
courteous?
extremely well. There's a bit more transmit than receive about him, but...
The Chancellor launched one pensioner-friendly measure that means that all old people over 75 will be eligible for a free television licence worth over £100. All they have to do is apply by visiting www.tvlicence.com/pensioner. Paul and Mark, your brief revolution reveals a 23-ton ice cube.
Oh, no, is this the mammoth they discovered the other day in the ice? The mammoth in the ice that was the mammoth that was in the ice?
The French have said they won't have this mammoth in France. It's about 250,000 years old,
Yeah,
which
so-
they think is dangerous to eat.
It's
they think-
slightly over 30 months, really, isn't
They
it?
say, you know, on the edge, but we think, non.
And where did they find this, this mammoth?
In the Arctic Circle.
Yes.
Oh, in Musharraf.
It's in Siberia, a place called Katanga. Rather bizarrely for any Lenny.
Katanga?
Yes.
It's in the Congo.
Not
What's it
anymore,
doing in the
Mark.
Congo?
It's in Siberia now.
That's global warming for you.
And what's the name they've given it?
Gerald.
Gerald Mammoth.
Zarkov.
Well, I only told you. I mean, you don't want me to take part, I'll just go home.
And it was named by the explorer who was... did you read it?
Mr. Zarkov.
No, Mr. Beeg.
Mr.
Beeg.
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 Is he the one behind all those crimes we keep reading about? Lisa looking for Mr. Beeg.
We can actually see Mr. Beeg.
It's going to be much more disappointing when it melts, you know. There's hardly nothing there, you know. It's just
It might
these
just be
stuff.
two tusks next to a
Yeah.
Yamaha motorbike.
They're going to clone it, aren't they? They're going to use the DNA
Yeah.
with an elephant
And Jimmy Savile. How's about that then?
and create the world's first woolly mammoth DJ.
Yeah.
Yes. And what's the problem of using an elephant?
Well, an elephant isn't strictly speaking the same species as a mammoth, so it may be rejected.
The elephant isn't woolly, that's what I've noticed.
Yeah.
They're not at all woolly elephants when you get close to them.
Really?
But they're worn down by giving kids rides.
Some elephants are as smooth as a pebble.
Can you skim them?
I beg your pardon?
Skim them, not skin them, skim them. Like that.
Yeah,
they
across
bounce.
water, yeah.
Elephants?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, you go to any seaside resort that's near a zoo, gangs of kids, I mean, if they're people from tower blocks, they've got nothing better to do. They get hold of elephants and they skin them across the water, and there's some old deer in a rowing boat saying, oh, it seems to be a boom, boom, right on top of them.
Now he's talking sense.
You get a tusk for your rollocks, you soon know about it, I tell you.
This is the proposed cloning of the mammoth, recently discovered in Siberia. Dutch paleontologist Dick Moll said, I've been working on mammoths for more than 25 years, and this is a dream for me, to find the soft parts and touch them and even smell them. If ever a man needed a holiday.
Or a tube of ointment.
Which frozen waste means at the end of this fresh spell, it's, both teams are desperate to remain inseparable, sharing as they do 6 points. Who is the odd one out and why? That's what our panel are about to tell us, with barely a moment's pause and unnerving precision, as Paul will now demonstrate his odd ones out being Kenneth Clark, Jason Orange, Stella Rimington, and Sister Virtus.
I don't know who Sister Virtus is, I'm afraid. So, Kenneth Clark, what do we know about? Desert Island Discs, saxophones, hush puppies. Anything to do with any of those?
Do you want a clue?
Yeah, go on then.
It all revolves around Sister Virtus.
Is she the centre of the solar system? Is she about to nick Stella Rimington's medal? Is she one of the pickpocket nuns that's ruining the West End for our tourists? She's a criminal. She pretends to be a nun. Her real name is Mr. Big. Jason Orange is the only one that's sucking his surname.
I'll give you another clue that it's a fair question.
It's about dodging your fare on the underground, isn't it? They've all been caught travelling the underground about paying their fare, and the sister said it's a genuine mistake because I've been living in a nunnery for 15 years and I didn't know.
I'll give you one for that. The answer is they've all been caught without a valid ticket on London Underground, except for Sister Virtus, a nun who was recently prosecuted and taken to court by London buses for sleeping past her stop.
What a serious thing. Shocking.
Do you know why she was sleeping?
Yeah, she was drunk. She'd been drinking the wine that's named after her.
She'd risen at 5 a.m. to pray.
And then after the third day she rested. What do you mean she...
Stella Remington used an OAP pass before 9 a.m.
Mind you, she's got a rather fancy bus pass, hasn't she?
Yes, and Kenneth Clark had a Zone 1 ticket and travelled into Zone 2. Hang in. Clark, in fact, denied arguing with the ticket inspector, adding, the matter was resolved without any fuss. I'm not the sort of person who goes around saying, don't you know who I am? Although, according to The Sun, one onlooker said Mr. Clark kicked up a bit of a fuss. He said, don't you know who I am? So either a former Tory minister or a tabloid paper must be lying. And even more surprising, one of them must be telling the truth. Having fallen asleep, Sister Virtus had her bus pass confiscated by an inspector, but the nun had the last laugh. She argued with the uniformed guard just long enough for 7 singing Austrian children to make their escape. Mark, your choice selection consists of Terry Venables, Amanda Platel, Peter Mandelson and Monsanto.
Oh. Amanda Platel has just written this Fleet Street Bonkbuster, which she comes out as the heroine of the Fleet Street mafia who were running the tabloids at the time. Peter Mandelson wrote a book just prior to the election, which was a book so utterly banal that I can't remember the name of it. And Terry Venables has written a book, I think.
So the carrot's the odd one out as it has not penned a book.
Do you really think we make it that simple? Carrot hasn't written
I think all the books have been withdrawn. This biography of Mandelson's been withdrawn. Amanda Platel's book, William Hague said, don't bring out this embarrassing book because delay it. So it's just come out, and it was meant to come out last year. Terry Venables' book was withdrawn, and a book about Monsanto hasn't been withdrawn. It's been let go.
Is the wrong answer. The answer is that they are all the subjects of publications that have been pulped, except for Amanda Platel, who has had to remove scenes from her raunchy new novel, Scandal, in case they embarrass Tory MPs. Monsanto have denied that by experimenting with genetic material, they could be opening a can of worms, although they are believed to be developing a strain of worm that will be able to open its own can. John, Lonesome George, Mick Jagger, Peter Snow, and prisoner CB9298.
CB9298 is an old chum, and he discovered not very long ago that he had another daughter. Peter Snow, not very long ago, discovered that he had another child that he wasn't expecting. And both of them said how lovely that was, but Mick Jagger wasn't very pleased when he was told he had another child.
They've had their children found by DNA, whereas the turtle...
It's a tortoise, isn't it?
Tortoise, Lonesome George, who lives in the Galapagos, he's been celibate for so long, they've sent out DNA samples all over the world to try and match him up with someone.
A mammoth, in fact, I think.
Is Peter Snow the only one who's saying, who's nicked me watermelon?
Anyway, is that the right answer?
Yeah, it is the right answer.
Oh,
Very
good.
good. Earlier this year, Peter Snow, confirmed by DNA tests to have fathered a child in the 1960s, survived a terrifying air crash near Seattle. It was all over in about 7 seconds, but it was an extraordinary experience, said the mother of his child. And finally, in this round, Ian, Jeremy Paxman, Chris Tarrant, Idi Amin, and Michael Fish.
Are they quiz show hosts? Paxman does University Challenge. Chris Tarrant, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Idi Amin, Do You Want to Live?
Isn't this about fishing? Chris Tarrant's a very keen fisherman, isn't he? Very
yes.
keen fisherman. Idi Amin, I think, was also a very keen fisherman. He used to just sort of blow them out of the water with dynamite. Jeremy Paxman, I can't remember now, was he against fishing or was he a keen fisherman?
No, he's a very keen fisherman.
Is he a keen fisherman? Well, I say Michael Fish is the odd one out because he's not a keen fisherman, but he does have the surname Fish.
Is the right answer. Yes, and Idi Amin now fishes in the Red Sea, apparently, because he now lives in Saudi Arabia.
And eats a lot of oranges.
That's right. And do you know what his favourite TV stations are? He watches Saudi One, CNN, and the BBC.
Oh, really?
So good evening. Jeremy Paxman goes fishing to relax, which is something he needs to do more of if this recent edition of Newsnight is anything to go by.
The Mirror, have we got? Yes, the Mirror Victory. I don't know what I haven't actually got that front page in front of me. The Times has the news that... I'm afraid I can't read that either. The Independent I have got here, which is... we haven't got the Independent up there. The system isn't terribly helpful, really. I think I'll just leave it there.
Which, Codswallop marks the end of that round with Ian and John taking a battering, trailing as they do 9-8. Missing Words is our most consistent round, underachieving every week, with its frantic trawl through the week's headlines and the exciting inclusion of some less or more from this week's guest publication, the redoubtable Modern Ferret, which calls itself the Ferret Lifestyle magazine.
It's very New Labour, isn't it? Modern Ferret. None of those old-fashioned ferrets. Get rid of them.
So praise silence for what criticised by Paxman?
Everyone is criticised by Paxman.
Fish, he can't bear them.
BBC management?
Bloke whose job it is to put up the right newspaper caption behind him on Newsnight. Criticised by Paxman.
Ferrets.
It's not from Modern Ferret, no. Golden Award for Hotel is what he was complaining about.
Oh, yes.
This
He
is,
got shirty with that receptionist, didn't he?
do you know what he called her?
Good
Old
morning,
ferret.
madam. I don't know.
He referred to her as Miss Now Sod Off.
Well, you know, Polish people have got to work the same as everybody else. It's not her fault.
Next, what live like kings and
Ferrets.
queens?
Ferrets.
Got to be ferrets.
Royalty.
You would think is the right answer, but ferrets is in fact the right answer. That's apparently if you buy them a galvanised black and green castle. If you'd like one of these, write to Friends of Ferrets, 490 Flock Road, New Jersey, or contact a psychiatrist. Next, house sitter prepares to explain what?
Car in bedroom.
The burglary.
Car in bedroom.
Theory of relativity. A lot of people ask.
Ferret in
house
trouser.
sitters particularly.
Car in bedroom.
You're obsessed with this car in bedroom, aren't you?
Yeah, because it's right.
Is the right answer, the car in bedroom.
Is that what the That was it a Land Rover? Somebody was driving a Land Rover and it just went down the hill and there's a bloke just sitting, watching his house and sitting there and he just went out and made a cup of tea and his Land Rover smashed right through the roof.
And do you know what happened to the Land Rover halfway down?
I don't know.
Went into second gear.
No, the lights came on, apparently.
That's a bit spooky.
I think it's a safety feature that Land Rover would probably be quite proud of to know.
It's a warning.
It is.
You're just sitting there reading the paper, the lights come on, don't bother looking out the window, just run for it.
Next, a banana boat crashes into what?
Lighthouse. There was this boat that crashed into a lighthouse. It was full of bananas. It's definitely a lighthouse, because there was a bloke in the lighthouse saying, oh, it's getting, you know, should we go to bed? And he turned the light off and he forgot it was a lighthouse. And the banana boat is a boat made out of this huge banana going along like this, and they crashed straight into it.
Is virtually the right answer. Flashing lighthouse is, in fact...
But he didn't turn the light off. It was blaring. No one could believe that this man had hit the best-known lighthouse.
Well, he thought it was a Land Rover coming towards him.
Yes, it is 90 foot high and visible from 16 miles.
That's the point of a lighthouse, isn't it? No point in putting a lighthouse in a cupboard in Wolverhampton. You want a big one on the coast.
And finally, what wins most original calendar award?
Nude ladies.
Pope Gregory.
No, it's ferrets. Ferrets on sticks. Ferrets, ferrets, ferrets.
WI ladies.
Yeah, it's those people taking their kit off, isn't it?
I think Paul was closer. It's ferret calendar is the right answer.
Can I just ask something? Does Ian's thing actually go up to double figures? You never know, do you? Hit it. Give it a hit. Hit it.
Which endgame brings us gagging to the end of tonight's mismatch, in which this week's dimwits have been Ian and John with 9, whilst this week's bright sparks have been Paul and Mark with 15.
Well done.
So the chance to ride on the Millennium Wheel to our winners, the chance to feed the huge team of hamsters that keep it going to our losers. But before we allow our guests to the place from where they will eventually be asked to leave before any more damage is done, there's our caption competition to endure.
Bamboo chair attacks bloke in ice.
Is he saying my toenails need cutting?
And I leave you with news that in Washington there's evidence that White House officials are taking no chances with their choice of new interns. A photographer captures the split second before all diplomatic relations with Ghana are severed. And there's relief at Royal Ascot as the Queen Mother's missing dentures at last turn up. Good night.